Welcome to Big Brothers, Big Sisters TV. I'm your host, Rod Jacobs. This episode, we website chat with Robin Batten from the Washtenaw Area Council for Children about cyber safety and mental health. Crystal Johnson joins us to talk about our match of the month, Autumn and Zakia. Danny Murphy shares creative homemade art projects. And Jennifer Spittler shares her views on Jen's Take. First, we want you to get involved. Check out bbbswashtenaw.org/give or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at bbbswashtenaw. Also, click that like button below and share our webcast with your family and friends. Remember to mark your calendar for the Big Little Telethon on September 13th from 5 to 9 p.m. So let's start. Let's get going here. And we want to start with something very positive. So joining me is our mentoring specialist, Michelle Lanthier. Michelle, you have a great quote for us today. What is it?
Yeah. So the quote is, be the person you needed when you were younger.
Wow. You know, when I hear that, it makes me think about times when I'm in my dreamland and I can see myself as this young child and the support that I needed as a kid. And so tell us, what made you choose that quote?
Yeah, so this quote resonates with me because I struggled with finding my own way as a young adult. It highlights the importance of building a strong foundation through mentorship and its positive impact on children.
And who the author of the quote? Who is she?
Her name is Aisha Siddiqui. My apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but I believe that's it. And she's a political commentator, author, and also a youth advocate.
Very good quote. And it's a great quote to start us off for this episode of Big Brothers, Big Sisters TV. So thanks for joining us, Michelle.
Thank you.
Welcome to Website Chat. Today we have Robin Batten here from the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you here, especially knowing the kind of work that you're doing. But first, before we jump into that work, tell us a bit about the organization you work for.
Washtenaw Area Council for Children is a local nonprofit that's been around since 1975. And their goal has been to teach child abuse prevention education throughout the community. And most of our programs are for free throughout Washtenaw County. So we start with a little bit of infant education, right? How to protect our infants, safe sleep. And then we move into the body safety. And we have Suicide Children, which is a child sexual abuse program. And then there's We Care, which is talking to the grades 3 through 5 about relationships. And it's kind of an extension, but not necessarily of like the body safety conversation, healthy relationships. And then the cyber safety program, we start from grade 3. However, we do the kids that are a little bit younger, and we go into the schools and we talk to students primarily, but also adults like parents, teachers, counselors, principals, sometimes law enforcement officers. We get a chance to be a part of the human trafficking conversation here in Washtenaw County, which is really nice. So yeah, our goal is to provide prevention education that promotes wellness and resilience among our kids, and that will keep them safe. So does that make sense?
So your position and why we got connected
Yes.
kind of relates to our new reality, the reality that a lot of people in general, and especially children, are going online. And so what are some of the concerns that you're hearing from parents about their children being exposed to more internet and online issues?
Well, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, we're all online more, right? Because we can't see people face to face. So automatically our young people are connecting with their peers more on the internet. But prior to this, and even now, more so now, the main concerns from all of us, not just parents, well, I am a parent, but parents and just the public is what we address. We address cyberbullying, which is a big topic. Sexting, which is another big topic. That's like second to the cyberbullying conversation. Online predators, those guys who reach out to our kids who want to prey on them, their vulnerability, and abuse them sexually. We talk about digital reputation because what you do online does actually stay online. We see kids missing out on scholarships, not having opportunities to get jobs. We see people getting fired because of things, especially nowadays with all the videos going on there. And I hate to use this because it's so crazy, the Karens, you know, they're videotaping, they're losing their jobs. Also, the privacy and security, like protecting our information, like what do we need to look out for when we're creating accounts, when we're shopping online, how to set our privacy settings on social media. So those are all the things that we talk about under the cyber safety umbrella. But of course, as we talked about a little earlier before we came on, the wellness and resilience came underneath the cyber safety program. And that developed because when you're talking about cyberbullying, sexting, and all these issues, we're talking about increased anxiety, stress, and depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have all heard stories of young people taking their lives, dying by suicide, after being bullied or being involved in a sexting situation, or either a combination of the three hitters, the bullying, the sexting, and online predator, right? So our job is to talk about the stigma of mental health. That's what our wellness and resilience with the young people, to try to deal with the stigma. We all have some sort of stigma in one way or the other, right? But how do we deal with that? Be resilient, and how do we get over our own stigma toward people who have mental health issues, mental illness, and help folks to understand how that stigma is a barrier to someone's health. So that's pretty much what we cover. What was your other question? Did I cover that?
Yeah, no, you hit it right on the head.
Okay.
You know, I remember growing up and the exciting, being a 42-year-old man. As you remember, we had the dial up and it wasn't as fast, but we also had a lot of these chats. And I remember first being exposed as a teenager, and you're talking to all different types of people. And I was older. And
AOL chat.
Yeah, exactly. And,
Yes.
and I can only imagine what my nephew and my niece are going through today. So what are some tips that you can offer parents around cyber safety?
Yeah, a few tips. You know, one of the things I always say is to talk to your kids about being online. Not just one time, but more time, often, I should say. When things are happening in the news, that's a good time to talk about it. Even just like we asked them about what homework do they have, how is school going, how are their friends. Ask them how things are going on the internet with them. You know, really open up that conversation, make it normal to talk about, right? We want to normalize this conversation, not so much as us against them. Oh, they're kids, we don't get it because we're adults. It doesn't have to be that way. The other thing I suggest for parents is, if you can, look at your kids' social media profile. If you can follow them, that's great. You know, maybe hold out with them, allowing them to be on social media. The legal age is 13, but we know that a lot of younger kids are on social media. As I said, I started as young as third grade, and some of those guys have, social media profiles. By the time they reach fourth grade, I would like to say, when I ask them to raise their hand, how many of you guys have a cell phone, a smartphone? Over 60% of them raise their hands. And I'm not knocking any parent. That's your parental decision, right? To do that. You make that judgment based on your lifestyle and what you want your children to have. However, I will say this. For parents who put these devices in their children's hands, from a laptop to a cell phone, even your gaming console, you should set parental controls and filters on them, because that will help block some of the things that can come to them. The other thing I would say this is that if there's a particular website that you definitely do not want your kid to be a part of, block it. And sometimes parents don't do that because they're not sure how to operate the parental controls. YouTube have very good how-to videos on how to set the parental controls and filters on these devices. Your provider might can help, like your cell phone provider. That's a good way to do it. Let's see, what else? Monitor Look at do check-ins. Check your child's cell phone device. Look at their history. See who they're talking to. Talk to them about the people that they're talking to. Talk to them about stranger danger. Talking about being kind on the internet and respectful, respecting other people's information and who they are, and also respecting themselves. What does self-respect look like? The other thing is that make sure, because we're dealing with self-esteem, we talk about self-esteem a lot. Otherwise, we wouldn't need a wellness and resilience program, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Young people and help them over these hurdles and deal with anxiety, stress, and depression. They need a sense of belongingness, connectedness to us. We need to really set ourselves up as an anchor. Not that our kids are going to come to us and share everything with us, because that's just not going to happen. And that's being totally honest. I'm a parent, and I know that my kids do not come to me for every single thing. And I know from being a child, and you probably can attest to this too, you did not tell your parent every single thing that happened to you. However, your parents gave you a few good things to do to protect yourself, right? When you're in the street, when you're going to the mall, playing in the neighborhood, it's the same thing when they're online. We need to give them some tools to work with. So having that conversation often with them about what to do and ways to protect themselves, what to look for, what's a red flag, what to do if someone starts to bully you and you're uncomfortable with this thing. You know, over 58% of the kids who are being bullied do not report what's happening to them. So we want to end that silence. We want them to come to us, even if it's uncomfortable. They do need to know that kids are uncomfortable talking to us because they don't want to be blamed. They don't want their technology taken away. So letting them know the expectations, what you expect from them, and what the consequences going to be. How you try to think about ways that you will respond. One of the things that I do suggest to young people, that if they're afraid to go to their parents, think of 3 trusted adults that you can go to be that mediator between you and your parent. I know that if someone comes to me and saying that my child has an issue and I didn't know about it, something's going to change in me. Like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm going to be more concerned. And I do believe that most parents, their love supersede any mistake that their children can make. So make sure your kids know that you can't make a mistake that I'm not going to forgive you for. Will it upset me? Yeah, possibly. But know that you're safe with me. I'm not going to hurt you.
You pointed out that mediator, and that's really a big role that our bigs play in our littles' lives is making sure to be that mediator. We're going to be putting your website to the Washtenaw Area Council for Children in our comments as we're speaking, so everybody can have access to that for all the great resources that you've got going on. But to wrap it up, do you have any events or online things coming up?
Oh, so we're doing a lot of virtual classes. If there's an organization, whether it's a church or a school or another community organization or business who would like a cyber safety presentation for their staff or students or whoever they're serving, we're doing a lot of virtual workshops. So they can just email me at robin@washtenaw.org, and we can talk about ways we can connect, and I can facilitate a workshop for them.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll put your email address in our comments as well. I want to thank you for joining us on Big Brothers, Big Sisters TV. It's been enlightening to hear the great work that you're doing to protect the children of Washtenaw County.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Welcome to Big Brothers, Big Sisters TV, where we're going to talk about the match of the month. Joining me is Crystal Johnson. Crystal, every month we go through our matches and we look for that special relationship that just seems to be flourishing and having some great things going on. Tell us a bit about our match of the month this month.
Sure thing. Our match of the month this month is Zakia and Autumn. They've been together almost 1 year. They'll be celebrating a year together next month, August. And what made me decide on them is that they're just such a cute match, and I love how they were able to stay connected over quarantine. So they found some cool ways to do that by online gaming. They've done some art together virtually. They also did a lot of video calling, just like FaceTime, which also kind of allowed them to be in person, or at least kind of feel in person because you can see their face, which is nice. So I really enjoyed hearing about all the fun things they were doing together and the way that their relationship was developing. So we can know that it can go either way during quarantine. It can kind of feel like you're getting a little more distant, or it can feel like you're finding ways to stay more connected. And I think for them, they actually found more ways to stay connected and get to know each other over the time of not being in person with one another.
So when you're putting a big and a little together, we have a very extensive process to make sure that all the checks and balances are there. But what are you looking for, especially referring back to Autumn and Zakia? What were you looking for when we got that match together?
A lot of times, the main factors that go into a match are personality, interest, and location. So we kind of look for personalities that are similar to one another, or maybe one versus the other has a strength that could help the other to build in a certain area. And both Zakia and Autumn honestly have pretty similar personalities in terms of being outgoing, loving to do fun things. So they were pretty much just a great pair out the gate in terms of personality match. With interest, they both seem to have a lot of interest, but they both were very open-minded. They noticed on the first outing that they both love swimming, so they decided to go to Rolling Hills. That was their first outing together. And honestly, a big place like that could be intimidating for the first time to hang out with somebody, but I think it actually was fun for them because it was something that they both enjoyed. And how can you not have fun at Rolling Hills? For those of you who know what Rolling Hills is, it's a water park in Washtenaw County. And then location. So I believe they're both located in Ypsi. So that made the drive time not bad, being in the same city to make sure that Zakia is comfortable driving with the distance between her and Autumn.
So you mentioned that they're coming up to their 1-year anniversary. And so what is the importance of the match length in building a strong relationship like Autumn and Zakia?
Sure. So it's very important that a match have at least 1 year of connection. It's actually been studied and proven that matches that last shorter than that time actually can be more harmful than helpful. So it's important that all of our participants going into our program know that they're required to make that 1 year commitment. And in that time, it gives them a chance to get to know each other, explore some new things they already enjoy, educational activities, building a friendship. I think a lot of times kids don't often have adult friends, and adults don't always have a lot of kids friends. Mm-hmm. So in that situation, it makes our program very unique, and that they're getting a chance to experience that. Autumn also talked about that, as well as Zakia, talking about that you can learn from anyone, no matter their age. And I think that they've definitely enjoyed learning from each other, having fun together, and really becoming a sisterhood.
Well, really appreciate you joining us, Crystal. And we want to encourage you to check out our website to learn how to become a big brother or a big sister, because we've got many great children waiting to build that strong, positive relationship.
Thank you, Rod.
It's time for Jen's Take, and I'd like to welcome Jen Spittler, our Executive Director. How are you doing today, Jen?
I'm doing okay today, Rod. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And, day to day, it seems like everything just seems to change, and you never know what yesterday is going to affect today. And it's just a world of uncertainty.
It is a world of uncertainty. It certainly is. Thinking a lot about this for the last couple of months, obviously. But really, as of late, as this continues to go on and on, I think that the uncertainty really creates anxiety and stress for people in the best of times, right? And so when there's uncertainty on top of uncertainty and so much news, it can feel really heavy. And we don't know what's going to happen with school. We don't know what's going to happen, with our work environments. And there's just feels like it's everywhere we turn, right? The economy, school, evictions for many of our families, food. How does everyone meet those challenges that are in front of us? And I think that it can just be so unsettling. And for those of us who have some years of experience, which is one thing I've had to reflect on a lot, it kind of comes with the age of living through some things previously that, there's a tomorrow, there's a better day. It might not always feel like it. You might not know what that's going to look like. But you have kind of some sense of certainty inside that that's coming. But I think that for so many folks, especially our young people and our kids who haven't been through anything like this before, they just don't know what that looks like. And so it's hard for them to imagine that. I've seen it with my own kids. I've seen it with our staff. I see it with the kids in the neighborhood who just are having a whole different experience without, being able to see their classmates and their friends. But how do we mitigate that? That's really what I have been thinking about, is how do we mitigate that anxiety and that stress on us? And I was so wonderfully, I'm going to say surprised with just a moment of that last week. As you know, we had a generous donor who wanted to donate gratitude glasses to our staff. And it was just I thought it was such a sweet gesture with such intention behind it. And he and I had this really great conversation. And he said, I just want folks to, when they drink from that glass, to take a moment, take a breath, and ground themselves in gratitude. And I just think that that's so important right now. And it really got me thinking about what we've done as an agency. We talk about gratitude a lot. We talk about gratitude on this webcast. We've tried to create some plans for certainty. I think that's the other thing. So taking a moment to be grateful for what you have, but also like, how do you put the things in place that give you a level of certainty? So we have plans for the phases, and we have plans for what our program is going to look like, regardless of what phase we're in. And we have the ability to move through those phases, I hope, much easier than we were able to in March. And I think that that's a good thing. I mean, it still isn't fun, but it gives us some sense of certainty. And I think it gives folks some sense of certainty. So although we can't change that, the world that we live in and kind of what it brings to us, we can reach out to one another and we can provide each other with some support. That is something that our bigs do every day for our littles. They've done it before COVID, and they're doing it now as they are either social distancing each other, or they're staying connected virtually. I think that that's really important. I know that in the last several weeks, I've relied on my mentors, maybe not always in conversation, but sometimes in just thinking about who they are and what they brought to my life. And that kind of grounded me in some of my decision making. And so I just want folks to remember to take a minute when you're feeling overwhelmed with that anxiety and stress because of all the uncertainty. And one of the like a meme that I have on my screensaver of my computer, it says, take a moment and drop your shoulders and relax your jaw and allow your tongue to drop from the top of your mouth and take a deep breath. I use it all the time. It's amazing how much we hold all of this stress just in our daily lives. So I just want to remind folks to take a minute and be well.
Thanks, Jen. That's a very powerful message. And in a world of uncertainty, we're not alone, and we need each other.
Yep.
Thank you. Today on Hidden Gems, we talk with Danny Murphy, and she had some great things going on with her family. Danny, one of the challenges we're facing today is finding some creative stuff to do with our families at home with some of the things that we've got in our cupboards and our pantries and things like that. You've come up with some great ideas. Tell us about it.
So I have 3 kids, and like any parent, I'm just like, what do I do with them now, right? 'Cause I've been inside for so long. So the other day we were sitting around and we were just like, well, let's see what this does. And we just collected random group of things, and we're sticking it in paint and sticking it on paper. Some of them, the first time we did it, we were painting on cardboard, canvas, all different things, just seeing what marks were left. And so the kids dubbed it the stamping station. And it's become sort of a thing. When we're bored, we just find random things to stick in paint and put on something.
It's very exciting, and sometimes we feel like, hey, there's nothing to do in the house, and I remember that as a kid. So how do you pull out that creativity when you're at home and you want to spark that in your kids?
I am blessed. I had a really creative group of adults around me growing up. So I was watching art be created all the time. So I was being brought up with that. You develop that eye. So I'm like, okay, well, this seems like a rock, but what happens if I stick the rock in paint and drag it across a canvas, you know? So that has been my experience, and I try to bring that onto my children, and I see it with them all the time, because when they're bored, like any other kid, they come to me, Mom, I don't know what to do. And I'm always like, you have a house full of toys and things. Like, you have lots to do. Go find something. And sometimes I have to hold their hand while they discover what there is they can do. But we always get there.
Well, let's check out this video that you and your family put together, because I love what you did with the onion.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, we are about to show you a technique that we like to call the stamping station. All you need is a collection of random household and natural items. Today my kids have selected, you can see there's a flower, we've got some old cookie cutters, some onions cut in half, string, some old celery bound together, an old whisk, all kinds of crazy stuff in here. A toothbrush, that's good for splattering. And then we have some big pools of paint. You can use whatever colors you want. We use the 3 primary colors so that we can mix colors together. You'll need some paper towel for cleanup and a big bowl of water to drop things in once they're covered in paint. You're also going to need 3 children, or 2 or 1, however many you happen to have. These are my 3, and they are about to show you the stamping station. Okay kids, get started.
This one I picked out. Let's see how it'll look.
I
Dip a toothbrush in paint.
Oh, I got it. Like in the comments. Like in the comments. Yes, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
I don't know what mine has turned into.
Sound.
Modern art.
Abstract. I honestly like it. Cool abstract. That's what Alice, I like yours too.
Back, because I really can't see what you're doing.
Hey! Hey, whoa.
Alright, let's see the end results. So as you can see, it can get a little crazy and a little messy, but did you guys have fun? Yeah. Alright.
Thank you to our special guest, Robin Batten from the Washtenaw Area Council for Children. Thanks to Michelle, Danny, Crystal, and Jen for joining us. We also want to thank you, our amazing bigs, littles, families, donors, and our board members. Remember to mark your calendars for the Big Little Telethon happening September 13th from 5 to 9 p.m. Click that like button and share us with your friends and family. And don't forget to visit us at bbbswashtenaw.org/give or on our social media at bbbswashtenaw. Join us on Tuesday, August 18th for more Big Brothers, Big Sisters TV. I'm your host, Rod Jacobs. Have a great day.